Anyone who keeps up with my channel knows that pretty much all I discuss are books, book reviews, and every once in a while I'll show you what I got at the bookstore. But tonight what I'd like to talk about is something a little bit different. And it's an issue in politics, but what I want to talk about is not the political aspect of things, but from as you can tell by the title of the video, is the problem of empathy that is tied into this political issue. So again, I don't want to make this a political video. The political nature of it is just sort of a jumping off point into another topic, and what I think is probably a much richer, much more interesting field of discussion, which is the problem of empathy. A couple of days ago, United States Senator Rob Portman from the state of Ohio announced to the American media that his son, a couple of years previously, came out to him as a young gay man, and that because of that, he was changing his position on gay marriage from being against gay marriage to now supporting it. So he is now the only currently sitting Republican senator who supports gay marriage. What I have a problem with, again, as I said, is not the politics of the position. Whether he supports gay marriage or doesn't support it is really immaterial to what I'd like to discuss here. What I want to discuss is how he changed his mind. That's what I really have a problem with and what I'd really like to talk about. Senator Portman has been in the Senate for 2 years, since January 2011, and also served a stint as George W. Bush's, the head of his management and budget. So he was George W. Bush's budget guy, and he was also his trade representative. But before that, he served, I think, 6 terms in the as a representative from the state of Ohio. So he's been in politics for a good long time. All of this time, up until a couple of days ago, was ostensibly had him ostensibly being against gay marriage. In fact, he was one of the people in the 90s who, when he was still in the House, who was a co-signer of the Defense of Marriage Act, which would put on the books on a federal level that marriage was only between a man and a woman. But now he has changed his mind. What I'm interested in really is why he changed his mind. As I said, he had many years, 15, 20 years, to think about this, to consider arguments pro and con, to talk to people that he knew, to talk to people that he didn't know. And this was the well-considered position that he had come to over all of those conversations. And after having thought about this well and thoroughly, he came to the position that gay marriage was not something that he could support, was not something that he was willing to support. And then, like the flash in a pan, his son comes out to him one day, and he decides to change his mind. Here's my problem. The problem is that at our best, at our wisest, I would hope that not just policy decisions that we hold, not just casual or sophisticated opinions that we happen to have, but that most things that we talk about, most things we consider and discuss, are decided upon by critical, intellectual decision making, weighing pros and cons, as I said earlier. When someone comes to you and says, someone close to you, your daughter, your son, husband, wife, close friend, acquaintance, and says to you, I'm gay, or I'm a lesbian, the fact that that changes your mind so quickly is probably evidence to me that you haven't done that critical, engaging thinking. Okay, again, I want to stress that I'm not sharing my opinion on gay marriage here, pro or con. What I want to talk about, someone just messaged me, I'm sorry. What I want to talk about is the way the decision was made, which I think is not really the way that we should be talking about decision making or making decisions. When someone can come to you, someone close to you especially, and just get your mind to change just because they're close to you, that really seems to me that you've never been able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, in that you've never been able to, well, the Greek word, pathos, right? Feeling, to empathize, to sympathize, quite literally to feel with another person, to put yourself in their position and see the world through their eyes. If that can only happen to you with family members, with brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and sons and close friends, then that's probably not a good thing. Part of a moral education is getting to feel other people's opinion, getting to familiarize yourself with them, to be able to see the world through their eyes. And when someone can come up to you and just tell you that their personal, their sort of provincial, singular, balkanized situation just changes your complete worldview about a particular topic, that's evidence that, to me at least, that you haven't engaged into that decision making at what it possibly could be. He also said, when asked by the reporter, and I'll link the clip below if you're interested in seeing it. He was asked by the reporter, how does your change in position of gay marriage affect your Christianity? Because he is a Christian. And he said that it completely jibes with his Christianity and with his stance on family values. And he talked about love and the fact that you shouldn't deny love wherever you see it. And of course, I haven't watched the complete clip, and I'm not sure if the journalist actually asked him this question as a counter. But of course, the obvious question arises, well, if it jibes with your religion, why did you not support it this whole time? It just raises a lot of other questions about, was this decision purely political? Or, I mean, if you obviously knew that this agreed with your religion, it's confusing. I mean, it's obviously a contradiction. But what I really wanted to talk about was that problem of the lack of empathy that I was discussing. And I wanted to tie that back into sort of like, make the big circle around back to reading. And I wanted to know what people thought about how reading can help you become a more empathetic creature. How it can help you feel other people, to imagine the world through their eyes, to live lives, even if they are imaginary lives, as other people live them and as other people feel them. I think this is really one of the best and truest and most genuine tasks of literature. And I'm not necessarily just talking about fiction here, I'm not just talking about novels, but even reading a book of history can do this. I think if it really puts you in someone else's shoes, lets you experience their ideas, and to be able to experience them and think about them honestly, and not just reach rash conclusions about them. So what I guess I'm asking is, can this problem of empathy, or the lack of empathy, be tied back to reading at all? Can we become more empathetic through reading, through really thinking about what it means to have a different point of view, and not just to think about a different point of view, but to really live in it, to really experience it in all of its fullness? Can reading help us with that? And can reading help us perhaps not necessarily make all of our judgments through that sort of best critical thinking that I was talking about earlier, but at least help us feel better, to help us imagine better, to help us morally educate ourselves? I'd love to hear your opinions, so please feel free to share them below. Thanks.